Hello, UNIV Lions, and welcome to our Winter 2020 NWEA testing session here at University. I am Miss White, your principal, and I am so excited to be able to introduce our two moderators for tonight's session. First up is Stephen Gibbs, our assistant principal of the elementary school, and Chanel Bruner, our testing coordinator. We want to thank you again for your commitment to making sure that your child is successful. Go Lions!
So for tonight's agenda, we will talk about getting ready to test. When is my child testing? The testing options for those students who are already coming face-to-face, and for those students who are mobile. We will discuss device readiness, remote testing, the remote testing environment, and then we'll move on to during the test. How does my child log in? What about test taking strategies, and if my child needs help and any other troubleshooting tips. Then after the test, when my child is done testing, what will they be doing? And at the end, we will wrap it up by having a short question and answer session so that we can make sure we provide you all the information needed so that you can help prepare your child for a successful testing experience. Now we're going to talk about getting ready to test. On Tuesday and Wednesday of this week, we sent out through School Messenger a UNIV parent assessment guide. In this guide, you will find the specific testing sessions and test subjects for each grade level. Also included in the guide are tips and strategies as far as how you can prepare your child for the exam and what you can do to help them have a successful experience. Now, during the specific testing session, it will replace live instruction, so there will be no live instruction during that testing session. And after the testing session is over, the teachers will provide asynchronous work so that the students can work independently during the rest of the school day. So again, during that particular testing day, it will replace the testing will replace live instruction. And after the students have completed their test session, they will be provided asynchronous work, independent work, to continue to allow them to learn throughout the day. Now, we're going to discuss our testing options. If your child is currently attending 5 days face-to-face, they will take their assessment in class with their homeroom teacher. There is no need for you to sign up or pre-register through Sign Up Genius. All we ask is that make sure that they bring their charged device to school with them on that particular date. So again, if your child is already attending face-to-face, they will take their assessment in their homeroom with their teacher. Now, if your child is currently mobile, you have actually two options. Your first option, which we strongly recommend, is that you allow your child to test in person. And we will discuss what those testing in person options, what that looks like in the process. So if your child is currently mobile, they'll have the option to test inside the cafeteria with other students testing during that session. Or you have the option to just have your child test at home remotely. That's not a problem. But again, if your child is currently mobile, you have two options for those testing sessions. Now, the in-person testing option, the testing sessions will be from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. During those testing dates. You must sign your child up via Sign Up Genius, and that's something that will be sent out by the homeroom teacher, just so that we can get an idea of how many students are looking to come into the building just to test on those particular days. So be sure to look out for that invite if you're interested in having your remote student come in to take the test in the cafeteria. We strongly recommend them coming in. So Sign Up Genius will allow you to sign up for those particular testing sessions. Now, sessions will be one subject per day in one particular area, whether it's ELA, whether it's math or science. uh, we will only have one subject per testing session per day, just so that your students are able to focus on one thing at a time. And they'll have a different subject area on a different day. A few tips: be sure to make sure your student arrives on time, preferably around 7:50. And then once your student finishes, we'll notify you and you can pick them up, just so that they can continue on with the rest of their day. So, coming to school, what the in-person testing requirements will look like upon arrival. In the back cart loop, the students will get their temperatures taken prior to them getting out of the vehicle. Please just make sure you do not pull off until we give them, the students, the go ahead to go enter into the building. Be sure they are wearing their masks. That's something they will have to wear at all times during the testing session. And they need to be in proper uniform, and dress warmly, because at times the cafeteria can get a little chilly. So be sure they're in proper uniform. They can bring a jacket or sweater just to keep warm, and also proper footwear, no sandals or slippers or anything like that.
What is going to be a requirement for them to bring along with their masks? A device. We were able to give out well over 785 devices for our families, when we still have a waiting list. So we do not have devices readily available to give to the students as they are testing. So either a laptop or an iPad. I know some some students may be using a desktop at home, and we'll try to make adjustments as much as we can, but they need to bring in a device so that they can test on the device. And we'll look at what the devices, what the devices should be, and how to access the test shortly. So our Wi-Fi will, once the students bring their device in, we will be able to put them on our Wi-Fi so that they can get connected. And we'll have our IT on hand so that if there are any troubleshooting issues, we are right there. We will support them. And lastly, some earphones, or earbuds, just something so that they're not distracted by maybe components of the test that might require voice voice or reading aloud, some things along those lines. So students must bring, along with their mask, headphones, earbuds, and a laptop or iPad. And as you have questions, you could either put those questions in the chat box, or I'll let you know how our Q&A will work at the end. Also, for those families just joining us, there is a link to sign in. So please be sure you click on that link so you can sign in and get credit for being here this evening and logging in. Again, we thank you for taking the time to join us. Each household will receive two volunteer hours for simply being with us tonight and allowing us to talk to you, and allowing us to see your face, smiling faces. So remote students. Now, if you are opting to keep your child home, and have them take the test at home, that's fine. To ensure the fidelity of the test, to ensure that it's the student taking the test and not getting additional help from someone else, or looking to get resources from other places. The students must have two devices, whether it's an iPad and a cell phone. And the purpose of this is so that with one device, the student will be taking the exam. The second device is so that the teacher can monitor that student. And if the student, this is just iPads, if they're using an iPad, if it's a desktop, a laptop at home, that's perfectly fine. And I'll talk to you about that. But if the student is using an iPad, especially one of our iPads at home, they are going to need two devices, simply because with with the iPad, they will be taking the test on that device, and then they will need an additional device so that the teacher can monitor that testing session. And if the student has any questions, runs into any technical difficulties, that second device will allow that student to communicate with the teacher, because with the iPads, it is not possible to toggle between the NWEA app and with the Zoom session. So with at-home testing, if the student is using an iPad, they will need two devices. Now, if you're using a school issued iPad, that app, and it looks very similar to the icon, or it is the icon that you see on the screen, that app is already pre-installed. So the student would just click on it, add the testing session, this teacher code, and they will be able to log into that session. If the student is using a personal iPad, then they would be able to download this NWEA secure testing app, which looks exactly like the icon in which you see on the screen. And if you don't see that, you can type that in to either Google Play or the App Store. So that would be the NWEA secure testing app for those who do not have it on their personal devices. Some of you may have already downloaded it from the fall NWEA session. So, but if you don't, that is how you will get that. All right. So,
Mr. Gibbs, you ready for me to take over?
Oh, yes. Yes, I am.
Okay, no problem.
Yes, I am. Okay.
Okay. Good evening. I am Ms. Johnson Bruner. I am the Student Services Coordinator, aka the Testing Coordinator at University. Happy to be with you this evening. So Mr. Gibbs did speak to iPads and the testing on iPads, where you do need two devices, one to test on, and another device will be needed to for the teachers to be able to see the student on Zoom for test fidelity. When it comes to laptops and desktops, you do not need a second device. Laptops and desktops actually allow Zoom to be open, and the camera will still work when you minimize it. So when the students go into NWEA, the teacher can still see the student testing, okay? So for laptops and desktops, I repeat, the students do not need a second device, okay? So if you have remote students, which is who we're talking about, the students that are at home, and they're on a desktop or a laptop, you're fine, and they can open Zoom first, and then with their teacher, and then they can open the NWEA browser, which is on the screen, and you'll receive this presentation. It'll be shared out, and the screen, the actual NWEA login screen looks like that to the right, the picture to the right. So on laptops, once again, teachers will be able to see the students while they test, and that's really important so that they can monitor even remotely if they can actually see the student. So it's really important that we have that access. Yes, if for some reason you don't have two devices, you're using an iPad and your student does not have two devices, you're not on a laptop or a desktop, we do encourage you to sign up for in-person testing, so that we can monitor your student and we can take it from there. That way we're getting accurate results and we know what your student knows and what your student does not know, so that we can accurately give them what they need. Okay. This is a scanner. Basically, if you take a picture, and it's a QR code, so you can test the device that you do have at home to see if it's ready for NWEA. As soon as you scan over that, it'll start like a little test. You just press begin, and it'll tell you if your device is ready for the test. Once again, this presentation will be shared out, so you'll be able to utilize this so that you're ready in advance before your child is to test. Because what if your device does not work? If you already know that, then you can go ahead and sign your student up for the face-to-face testing and let us take care of it. Okay. Okay, so for students at home, for your testing environment, we want to make sure that your student has a space in the home that is quiet and away from stress and distractions, just to make sure that they're able to be comfortable and remain focused while they're home taking the test. This could be an office space, a living room, bedroom, anywhere, probably that they probably take their classes now. We want to make sure, that the phones are on silent, do not disturb. We know that some parents are still working at home, so we want to just make sure that, because this is a standardized test, that the student is in the best situation possible. And we want to make sure that, they get a good night's rest the night before, they get a good breakfast that morning, whether they're at home or whether they're coming into the school, just to make sure that they're ready to do their best so that they can show us what they know. Okay. All right. So during the test, what does this look like? How does my child um, get on the test? So if your child is testing remotely, NWEA will be administered by the homeroom teacher, 8 to 11 in the morning. Students will log into this website, and it looks just like the picture on the left-hand side. That's what the login will look like. Students, face-to-face, the teachers know exactly what to do, and they will be assisting the students. Believe it or not, our students that have been at our school, they take NWEA 3 times a year. They know exactly what to do. They know much more than you think they know because they're very used to this test. Go ahead. You will receive testing info from your child's homeroom teacher. So the big document with all the testing dates has already been provided to you. You will also get your specific testing dates from your child's homeroom teacher as well in a separate email. On the day of the actual test, any testing day, attendance will be taken before 9 a.m. on Zoom. The students will begin testing before then, but the attendance will be taken by then. So if your child is going, later than 9 a.m., they do risk being absent for the day. Students that do finish early will already know what asynchronous work to do, that the teacher will already have provided. Remember, Mr. Gibbs did say that live instruction is replaced by the test that day because our goal is for your child to finish the test in one day. It is an untimed test, and they can take as long as they want. So we want to make sure that they're not rushed and that they have all day, if needed, to get that test done. Test taking strategies. We want to encourage your kids to try their best. It's time to show what they know. Once again, there's no time limit on NWEA. It is an untimed test. We don't want our students rushing because the system will actually tell the teacher who's rushing and tell them exactly who the student is. It will pause the students automatically, and then the students will have to ask the teacher for a code to resume. So it's a very sophisticated system, and it knows when they're guessing, and it also knows when they're rushing. So if there's a reason, that they're rushing, they think they need more time, they can just talk to the teacher, or you can send an email to the teacher and let them know so that we can maybe break it up if we need to. I know some people are asking about 504 students and ESC accommodations. Ms. Parado, who is our ESC coordinator, I don't know the specifics, but I do know she has a plan. So be in touch with your child's homeroom teacher about that as well. Please note that NWEA is an adaptive test. So what that means is that if your child is getting questions wrong, it will become easier automatically. If your child is getting answers correct, it will become more difficult automatically. So it's just really trying to challenge them and get the most out of them, so that we know their strengths and their weaknesses. You should expect that there are some questions on the test that the students will not know yet. That's absolutely okay, and it's expected. Okay, we just want them to do their best. Okay, so what if your child needs help? One of the biggest things is tech issues. What if your child can't get onto NWEA, or they get locked out, they can't get back in, or your computer says that the resolution is wrong, or things like that. If that happens, we have encouraged our teachers to encourage you to sign your child up for face-to-face so that we can take care of it in the building. Our teachers are very limited with technology. You know, they know what to do if it's simple, but if it gets too detailed, they don't know what to do. And to be honest with you, our front desk also does not know what to do. So um, I'm one of those gurus in the building that does know what to do, but I'll be assisting the face-to-face students as well. So when that happens, if that happens, we encourage you to sign your child up for face-to-face so that we can just take it from there. It will be way less stress for everybody involved. Okay. Um, the test is determined to math, excuse me, to show your child's mastery and growth. So we don't want you helping them with questions. And I know that Mr. Gibbs and Ms. White want to add some additional information about that.
That is correct, Ms. Bruner. So, one of the things I want to make sure to address is the fact that this is an adaptive assessment. It's an assessment that from the very first year that your child has been enrolled at our school here at university, we administer this assessment 3 times a year in an effort to determine how they're growing and they're learning, all right, throughout the course of the year and then from year to year. It is an adaptive assessment, as Ms. Bruner said. So there is no study guide or test prep portal or packet that you can use in order to prepare for the assessment, because the assessment, simply put, it fires off a set of different types of questions to your child. Some things are at their level, some things are beneath their level, and some things are above their level. So the questions get harder and easier based upon your child's answers in order to determine where their level is compared to other children in the same grade level nationally. So it's a nationally normed test. So the only thing that you can do to help your child prepare for the assessment is just to make sure they get a good night's rest, that they have an appropriate breakfast, and that they have a great testing environment, whether it be at home, distraction free, or whether it's in the building with us in the cafeteria, or if your child's already face to face, they'll be taking it in their classroom with their teacher. But that's the only prep that you can do as a parent. So I just want to make sure to address that. What we did see from our fall results, because our fall assessment back in September was the very first time that we've ever in the history of our building being open, where most of our students actually took this assessment remotely. What we found is that unfortunately we did see that we had a little bit of an issue with getting reliable data, because it's a natural human tendency as a parent, and we are all parents on this call, myself, Mr. Gibbs, and Ms. Bruner included. Your natural tendency as a parent is to want to help your child. Let me explain what this means, or let me clarify this question. But when you start to assist your child with the assessment, then the results become a reflection of what you know instead of what your child knows. So we can't stress this enough. Please make sure that you're not assisting the kids during the assessment. Now, it's one thing to be able to, assist with technical support. But remember, if you're testing from home, that's the reason why we want to make sure they're logged into Zoom in addition to NWEA, so that we can make sure that your child's teacher can be there to help troubleshoot and support. So if it's like a question where they need help with a question, um, make sure to refer that over to their teacher, and the teacher will handle that appropriately. And you may hear that the teacher will say, I can't help you with that today. And that is totally appropriate within the context of this assessment. So we want to just make sure to stress that. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. So now, once the test is over with, your child is finished the session. If they were a student which was dropped off in the cafeteria, and they're taking the test, once they're finished, if they finish early, we'll give you a call so that you can come back and pick them up. We do ask, if you do opt to have your mobile student to come into the building to take the test, please be mindful that we're going to need them picked up at a specific time, because we have lunches starting around that time. So we've got to start moving some things in the building, and we don't want a bunch of students just waiting out back or waiting in the front office or anything like that. So we want them to be possible dropped off promptly, picked up promptly. We want this to be a positive experience, because the ultimate goal is to really, make sure our children get the support in which they need. So regardless if they're in the building, regular everyday face-to-face student, if they finish early, the teachers will be providing work for them. If they are remote and they're taking the test at home, the work will be provided for them, something for them to do, so that they're just not sitting there for the entire day, because instruction will go on. It's just during that designated test session time, we're focused on allowing all students to get an opportunity to take the test without any distractions or anything like that. So for our early finishers, we will have things for them to do. Your teacher will be able to see the results right away, so that they can be able to begin working on an action plan to how they can support your child. That's the ultimate goal, to find out, from fall to now, was there growth? What's working? What areas do we need to focus on to make sure we can support them? Because we're going to be doing this again in the spring. So the goal is, we want to see growth. We want to see what they know, and we also want to see what they don't know. So once their child is finished again, there will be asynchronous work for them. The school day will continue, once the testing session is over with. So the goal is growth, and, don't forget those RIC goals for our students. Now, if your child is absent from school, if there were technical difficulties at home, and there was something going on with the session, you need to make up a specific session or test session, this will be sent to you, so that you'll have information as far as when my child can make up that test session. And this will be something, depending on how many students are absent or how many students need to make up that particular test session. Those options will still be there for them to either, if they're already face-to-face every day, they will be able to set up, we'll have a plan for them to come into school that day to take the test. If they are a mobile student and you would like them to come in to make up that test session, you will be receiving information regarding that. Or if for whatever reason they are a mobile student and they couldn't get on, or they were not able to log in, they will still have an opportunity to make up that test session, because our goal is to test 100% of the students. We want to make sure that no child is missed. We want to assess everyone so that we can get an idea as far as where our students are at, and what we can do to help them grow and to get them to the next level. We understand that this year, like no other year, has been a huge shift, especially in the realm of education. And at the end of the day, regardless of everything that's been going on, if things are not put in place in our education system and what we do and how we instruct our students, our children suffer. And, many of you have, reached out to myself or Miss Dean, the middle school AP, or even Miss White or Miss Bruner, regarding some concerns. And we've made adjustments. We're doing what we can. So our goal is to just make sure all our students are tested, so that we can get an idea as far as what university needs to do to help each and every student.
Now, Mr. Gibbs, if I can just kind of step in, and we're actually segueing into our Q&A segment. I just want to clarify something that was mentioned earlier, because we are talking about, two different kind of manners in which to take the test, right? So for some of you that are on this call, your kids have been reporting to the building daily, and you are face-to-face learners. So for you, this is very simple. And your child is attending class every day face-to-face. And when their testing dates come up for NWEA, they will simply take the assessment in the classroom with your child's teacher. The one thing that you want to remember is to make sure to send them with a device on the date that they're taking their NWEA assessment, right? With a laptop or an iPad, right? And just make sure to double check that device for device readiness prior to that testing date, and you can work through those nuances with your child's teacher, right? So that's one scenario. So there are other parents on this call, and the vast majority, quite frankly, where your children have been tuning into class daily via mobile learning, right? You have two options, right? You're either going to A, allow your child to take this assessment from home, right? Or you're going to allow your child to come sign up via the sign up genius link that your teacher will provide, and come in and have your child test face to face with us in the cafeteria. So now I'm going to segue into the clarification. NWEA is an untimed test, meaning that your child will be exposed to approximately 40 to 50 questions on the adaptive assessment, but it is untimed, right? So if your child is in the classroom physically face to face with their teacher, they pretty much will have the unlimited amount of time needed in order to finish it. But if you are a remote student and you are at home taking the NWEA, you will follow the same window that your teacher's proctoring live from the classroom. If you join us in the cafeteria and you sign up for a face-to-face session, we have allotted the time period from 8 to 10, which is two hours, for you to take the assessment, which in 90% of cases is more than enough time. I hope more than enough time for your child to complete the assessment. But if we find that they need more time, what we will do is we will suspend the test. All right. We will kind of save the test, suspend it where they are, and then we will have you sign up for an additional session in order for them to be able to complete the assessment. Because we want to make sure that we're just maintaining social distancing in the cafeteria and the number. So we'll have you sign up for an additional session if they need more time. So just understand that the test is unlimited, but that doesn't mean that they have to complete the entire session at one time. So we just wanted to make sure to clarify that. And now, let me back it up a little bit. And now with that said, I just want to scroll backwards a little bit into the chat so that Mr. Gibbs, myself, and Ms. Bruner can just kind of answer some of these frequently asked questions. So there were a lot of questions about testing dates. And I did post this several times throughout the course of the presentation, but the student assessment guide was actually sent out, today is Thursday, so it was sent out on Wednesday and Tuesday's school messenger posts. So if you're paying attention to those news you can use and the information sent out by Ms. Sasha, Ms. Tamal, you should have seen them. We will send it out again as a follow-up. And actually what we're going to do is we're going to post a link to our website under the parent updates page. That way that you, the UNIV updates page, that way that you can reference it and it'll always be there. Okay, so we'll take care of that tonight just so you guys have a hard reference for that. For those of you, I know sometimes it's a little wonky with the emails when we send them out. So we'll make sure to do that. So don't you worry. And that has all of the test dates. Now, there are some of our middle school parents that are getting out specific information. If your child is taking high school or accelerated coursework, you've also been receiving some direct communication from your child's teacher or even directly from Ms. Dean, our assistant principal in the middle school, about the Algebra 1, geometry, civics, those types of assessments. So yes, those are also happening. This is really mid-year for any school in the state of Florida. So this is kind of the norm. The only unique thing that we're experiencing right now is just the method and manner in which we have to conduct these assessments now in light of COVID. All right. As far as you being able to access the results after the test, your child's teacher will see the assessments immediately, and you can coordinate that. I would be remiss, but I just cannot remember off the top of my head if the students can see it right away. But as a parent, I can tell you before I make it home, my kids already know their scores. So I believe you can see them pretty much instantaneously, but when it shows up on that screen, you got to write it down. All right. Are there any other dates? I talked about the dates. I'm just scrolling through the chat here. And we will be posting this presentation on our website as well for anyone that you know that could not attend tonight. We do not have any update on FSA at this time. There hasn't been any additional guidance from the state, but as soon as we know, you guys will be the first ones to know as soon as I find out. Oh, thank you, Ms. Dean. Ms. Dean is answering questions for us. As far as parent-teacher conferences, they actually have, we've already conducted several of them for the fall already. But if you are looking for parent-teacher conferences, this topic is actually not really related to what we're here for tonight, but I will address it. Just make sure to reach out to your child's teacher so that you can get that scheduled. And if you're having any difficulty, just put Mr. Gibbs or Ms. Dean in the loop, respectively. All right. As far as the subjects that your child will be doing for the NWEA, every child in the building will be doing a language arts assessment in addition to a math assessment. And then specific grade levels beginning grade 4 and higher will also be taking science as well. As far as breaks for NWEA, the teachers schedule those as appropriate. I know it may seem, because we say it's an untimed test, but believe it or not, the length of the time usually doesn't warrant us needing to schedule a break within that assessment. Usually the students will take it from beginning to end. So, you just want to make sure, it's kind of like we're getting ready for a road trip as a family. Like, you want to make sure that they're well fed, they're well rested, go to the bathroom before we start, that whole thing. But we usually, the assessment doesn't dictate the need for there to be a break built in the middle, unless that's a specific accommodation a student receives. Let's see here. All right. And if you're having issues with receiving our school-wide communication, meaning our news you can use, emails, or even our school-wide text messages that we've been sending out this year, if you could just reach out to us offline, email Mr. Gibbs or Ms. Dean. Feel free to CC me on it so we can troubleshoot and figure out what's going on so that we can get that fixed for you. Oh, thank you, Ms. Brown, for making me feel more confident about that. She's right. The students can see the RIT score at the end of the assessment. That made me feel so much better. I felt nervous about answering that one. And
again, for those families who may have just logged in, I'm going to repost the sign-in sheet just so that you can get an opportunity to sign in. Again, there are 2 volunteer hours for your attendance tonight for each household. So again, thank you for being here this evening.
All right, and I just want to make sure that we are hitting those good questions here. As far as how to interpret your child's score once you see the score at the end of the assessment, please coordinate time with your child's homeroom teacher so that they can break down we can provide you with a student profile that will explain what the growth looks like. And that's a great opportunity for us to be able to conference with you. And it's something we would normally discuss during a parent-teacher conference. All right, I will post a link to our school website in the chat, but it's very simply www.universitycharter.org. As far as making changes to your child's learning choice, as far as mobile versus face-to-face, we have not received any updates from the state as far as the governor with any changes to our learning platforms. So I would suggest that you reach out to Mr. Gibbs or Ms. Dean respectively, just so we can discuss your situation and figure out what the next steps would be. And, oh, thank you, Ms. Dean. All right, perfect. Oh, and thank you, Ms. Brown. Ms. Brown's helping us out tonight as well.
Thank you.
All right. And I apologize for that, for getting transferred for the voicemail. I'm just looking at the thank you, Mr. Gibbs. You're fast. But yes, if you're ever having any trouble, and please understand, guys, when you contact the front desk, the young ladies up there, they are an amazing group of women. But there are only three of them answering phones, and there are well over 1,400 of you. So, if you are not getting the response that you need or the answer that you need, feel free to just shoot an email. I wouldn't say call because we're usually multitasking like crazy throughout the day. But if you shoot Mr. Gibbs or Miss Dean or myself an email, we will try our best to get back to you and help resolve whatever problem that you have. With us being in this kind of together but apart kind of situation this year, I think the way that we navigate this time is just clear and concise communication. And as long as you bear just a little bit of patience with us, we will always do whatever it takes to help you out and to help figure out whatever problem that you have. So, with that said, and I think we got down to the end of the chat, we would love to just receive some feedback from you guys. We're always looking to make sure that we're sharing the greatness here at university. We are proud folks of our school, and we want to make sure that the world knows the great school that you selected for your child. So if you ever get a chance, make sure you follow us on social media. We're really trying to build up our followership. We're really excited about how many likes we have now at this time on Facebook. It's kind of a hokey thing to get excited about, but it does excite us. Our Instagram following is growing. And also, if you're a part of the Twitterverse, just go ahead and, you know, join us on Twitter. I also have a professional Twitter myself. I'm Living to Lead. Feel free to join me on Twitter as well. And leave us a 5-star review if you think that you selected a great place for your child to be and your child is happy. All right. And here we're at UNIV Lions every day, all day, and just show your lion pride. Times right now are very stressful, and we've got to keep the energy up and the positive energy going. And we want to make sure that we're, doing the right things for kids and taking care of one another, because, this is that time where that social and emotional piece, we've got to hold each other as close as possible. Maybe not physically in light of COVID, but spiritually, we've got to keep each other close and support one another. So we appreciate you guys so much. We will, as far as the volunteer hours, we will make sure to add them before December 18th. I hear the phones, and I hear Miss Sasha on the phone regularly. And we want to thank you all for being very responsible with your volunteer hours. And we will make sure to have those posted. Yes, and thank you for the shout outs. We appreciate the love. We appreciate the love. Oh, I will back that up to that prior slide.
Just those thank yous, those little things, it means the world, to our teachers, because day in and day out, they're here for the kids. They really are. So thank all of you for entrusting your children with us, whether it's mobile or face to face. Our goal is, regardless of what learning mode the child is in, they will not miss out on the fun, the instruction, the rigor, any of it. They are a lion. They are lions, and we're a family. So thank you all for just entrusting in us, and for all my little ones. Even if you're in middle school who are on this call, I'm just miss you guys, love you all. So, we're in this together. This is an interesting year, but we're all in this together.
Well said, Mr. Gibbs. So we are going to the review link. As you can see, my screen is jumping around. That's technology for you. My laptop has had enough of me today. All right, I'm just backing it up again. And I can't say it enough. We obviously, in times like this, you realize that you don't do what you do. You certainly don't do it for the money, but we appreciate just the support, because we just want to make sure that we are doing what's right for these kids, and and just trying to keep each other safe. So thank you again. That concludes tonight's presentation. And those teacher shout outs are amazing. I got to figure out how to like save this in the chat
Oh, I'm
because
saying,
this is the fire that keeps those teachers going. And we wish you guys the best of luck. I know that we just got through the first round of our holiday season, but you know, the rest of the holidays are coming, and we hope you guys stay safe and celebrate responsibly. So we are going to conclude and go Lions, and thank you again for coming tonight. Take care.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
My computer, Mr. Gibbs, has had enough of me today.